Hey, good morning YouTube. Today I wanted to make a video where I basically talk about the weapons that hold my interest in Splatoon 3 since the game is coming out in less than a week at this point. I've gotten a lot of questions in general places from people asking what weapons I'm interested in, what I think is strong, what I think is weak, that kind of deal. So I figured it'd be a good time to kind of make a video to go over what I think are the weapons that interest me the most going into the game on day one. So if you're watching this from the future or future patch or whatever, this will change probably if things get buffed, nerfed, that kind of deal. This is pre-launch. Before any of that, just initial, like, what do I want to play? So I made a list like this off stream for myself, so I kind of want to just sort of recreate it, remake it in video form, because I figured that's more interesting than just posting an image again, sort of like the weapon retrospective video I did recently. So first of all, I'm going to name the tiers. This tier, first tier, is going to be the weapon I want to play the most day one. That is going to be Stamper. Splatoon as a weapon is really interesting, but it's kind of underwhelming. Stamper basically takes all the problems I have with it and sort of fixes pretty much all of them. The kit on this one is Burst Bomb, plus... I always forget the name of it, I always blank the moment it matters to say it. The Zipcaster. Burst Bomb plus Zipcaster. Compared to Splatoon, this one has much better damage values that we know. It has a little bit better range. It does 70 on the vertical, close range does like 55 on the swipe, farther range does like 35. It combos really, really well with Burst Bomb. It has like mid-range, it has very clean paint. And Zipcaster, after playing the test fire, is actually one of my favorite specials in terms of just for fun. So this is definitely like the #1 weapon that I want to try day one of the game. Like by far, I think it's going to be so much fun. Next tier, I want to make a tier for my favorites from the... Why does it look like that? Favorites from the... Okay, you know what, fine, have it this way. Faves from test fire. What? I have to like space it more here. Okay, you know what? Good. Fine. This is the, it's not going to be perfect. It's fine. It's just to get the idea across. My favorite weapons. If you're there during my stream during the test fire, these are like the top 2 weapons I enjoyed the most. Ink Brush, #1. Ink Brush with the Splat Bomb is amazing, and the issue with it in Splat 2 was you had Splashdown, which kind of sucked, and it kind of weighed it down horribly, but Splat Bomb and Ink Brush is actually kind of annoying now that the weapon functions properly, ever since like a few patches into 2. Really fast, lightweight, paints, and short ranges like really, really quickly, you can kind of route around, ignore ink, that kind of deal. It's just a very obnoxious, annoying map presence, and I love those kinds of weapons, and the special Killer Whale synergizes with how it plays, because it's just automatic crossfire for it and its team, and the combination of that, with the fastest lethal bomb, having high output of whales because it was 180, which is like one of the lowest special costs in the entire test fire. Like, it's just genuinely such a fun kit. I had a blast playing this. It was easily one of my favorites, and I'm gonna play a ton more of it day one. Next weapon, Tetra. Tetra has always been a really, really cool main weapon, again, held back by Splashdown in Splatoon 2. Now it has Reef Slider, which is much more engaging, fun, less punishing, that whole deal. So having a special that helps it, like approach/engage, or to help it reposition quickly, but also throwing out a lot of paint and a lethal hitbox in a straight line is awesome. It's genuinely, it's all the fun of playing Tetra from 2, with infinitely more fun because you have an actual special to work with. So it's just, it's so much fun. I loved playing this thing. It's definitely one I'm going to mess with for sure. So those are my 2 favorites from the test fire. There are a lot of weapons that weren't in the test fire, but we know the kits of, because, you had around the plaza, you had NPCs or whatever, and they had weapons and show the kits, that kind of deal. I'm just talking about, these are all things that are there day one, right? So the next tier will be, we'll definitely try to mess with. I don't know why the text is so much cleaner on this tier than the last, but whatever. I'll start with the ones from the test fire just to keep it a bit neater, I guess. So for starters, let's go Zap. Zap has Suction and Tactical Lure. Tactical Lure is like the best special going into the game day one, like for sure. I think it's pretty much universal that everyone agrees on this. This weapon is going to be on basically every comp day one, I'm just telling you right now. Although I played it a fair bit, and I think it's more fun than Splatoon 2 Zap, because with Splatoon 2 Zap, you kind of pop armor, help your team, that kind of thing. You might win a fight with the armor, right? But if your armor got chipped off, you didn't really want to like overcommit, so you kind of had to like immediately back up, because you don't want to feed as an armor player into. But with Tactical Lure, it feels less punishing because, the mix of like the QR effect you get with the drink active, the lack of special loss, that kind of thing. It might get changed in the future. I feel like it will, but like at the moment, it's a very similar kit on Zap, but it's much more fun to play. And it's a lightweight shooter. It's pretty basic, but also Tactical Lure gives you like maximum intensify action, which means you're actually allowed to jump with NZAP, because normally NZAP's jump RNG is horrendous, but yeah, you can do a lot more with it in this game, and it feels fun. Like, it's a lightweight, it gets, you know, some perks out of the new movement stuff. It's fun. It's a lot more fun than it was in 2 as someone who had to kind of play it a lot as a pocket in tournament, put it that way. Next one, Splatter Shot, another kind of basic shooter, right? But like Suction's fun, Trizuka's fun. It's a more engaging version of, like, you know, just it's one of the more engaging versions of Splatter Shot, because in 2, Kensa Shot didn't really have to interact a lot of the time. It was kind of fine to just play slow and play safe and get missiles. But like this one's more like it sort of has like the closer risk reward to something like T-Tech, where like it's, you know, it's still low risk to use a Trizuka, but it's just fun having like 3 giant shots that can get kills across the map, has massive AoE, that kind of thing. It's just fun. I like it a lot, honestly. It's an interesting shooter kit. 52. I'm also just going over the shooters now because I want to talk about like the more interesting main events after this. 52 is also really good. You know, it keeps all the strengths that I had before. It has wall, that's fine. Whale makes it more engaging. As Whale's the kind of special that you need to interact with the opponent to get mileage out of. You can't just, like, you know, sit in the back and farm it or whatever. You're not a siege jet or anything like that. So it's actually kind of fun, you know, having a whale, you know, going to push a person, you throw a wall and they can't really fight you back, and the laser's just like tickling them, and you can potentially like one-shot them maybe, or soften them for a teammate. It's a lot more fun to play than Kgal, for sure. Next weapon. This weapon actually wasn't in the test part, but I'll throw it here because it's the shooter. Splash is Burst Bomb plus Crab. Splash is a great main weapon, perfect accuracy, great paint, it's short range, lightweight, high mobility, good efficiency, all that stuff. Crab is a special I want to mess with more, but the only one in the test fire that had it was Pro, and Pro was like a 200 cost, and it doesn't really paint that well. So when I want to mess with Crab for fun, like day 1, it's gonna be like Splash-O-Matic like 90+% of the time, I imagine. So look forward to that. So now moving away from, you know, shooters into the weapons I think are a bit more interesting that I super want to try. Number 1, let's go with Tent. Tent has Vacuum, which has really interesting synergy with the shield. I can't tell exactly the places to use Vacuum yet, but the idea is, like, if you throw the shield, pop the Vacuum behind it, if someone shoots or throws bombs at the shield or whatever, the Vacuum prioritizes it over the shield, so it kind of just sucks it in before the shield even gets damaged. And that in itself is a lot of fun synergy, and it has Beacon. And I've always liked Beacon on Tent. I think it's fine, and, you know, it's meant to be like a supporting kind of weapon, so I like the kit for this a lot. I'm just gonna play with it for fun. It's good. I have a good feeling about it. Next one. And to take a bit of a pause in the recording there for a second, but I'll edit it out so you probably won't even notice. Next one I want to talk about is Bucket. I think Bucket is a really, really good kit. Spot Bomb on Bucket's always been good. It has such a high damage value that it combos, and even if you don't finish the person, they're just so weak that anything tickling them will kill them. So, you know, this paired with like Whale stuff will probably be really good. Burst Bomb, all that. Triple Link Strike is a bit less engaging than I wanted it to be, because when you pop it, you have really low mobility, so you're going to end up using it very, very quickly, which is like not bad necessarily, but it was a little bit disappointing on Brawl, and I'll get to that in a second. But I think this kit is like fantastic. It's really strong, and I've always liked Bucket, so I'm definitely going to play this one. Speaking of Bucket, Machine has a crazy kit. It kept the Fizzy Bomb, finally got an actual special in Booyah Bomb. I think this weapon's going to be super duper fun. Pretty popular for like the early weeks, for sure. I don't know, there's not much else to say with that. If you played Splatoon 2, you know that Kensa Machine had a meta, and that was when it had Splashdowns, and had that as an actual special. Pretty crazy, so definitely expect to see this one popping up a lot. Next weapon. Finish out the buckets I'm interested in, Explosion. Explosion as a main weapon's always been really fun. It's one of my favorites. I had multiple videos where I talked about it at this point. It has point sensor, which is kind of boring, but rain is kind of cool. But, you know, definitely mess with it. I don't think the kit is necessarily amazing, but it's just an Explosion, and, you know, it can combo with rain. Rain will help install zone, that kind of thing. So I'm interested. Especially with the new movement stuff, I want to see if it's like easier to not die to random bombs and stuff like that, because Explo's always had like mobility issues, so we'll see if that helps with it. Next weapon I want to talk about. If I can find it. I mean, I suppose the order doesn't really matter. Let's just go Dynamo. Dynamo's cool. I really like the kit it has in this game. Sprinkler helps its mobility issues because you can paint the floor with it in case you get stuck. Tactical is really cool, and I think especially on Dynamo, because Dynamo's a heavyweight weapon, so it feels really clunky and immobile a lot of the time. But the Tactical is temporary buff to like your run speed and swim speed. It's just hilarious on this thing, honestly. It's like, even if it's like not as great or splashable as NSAP, like it's just straight up fun, so I'm definitely gonna mess with it more. Next weapon. Let's go with, if I can find it. Range Blaster. Actually, I really like the kit on this thing. Suction isn't my favorite sub on it, but I think for the kind of kit it's going for, it's fine, because the main weapon combo with Wavebreaker is really good, because Wavebreaker does 45 damage, so basically any AoE hit, if someone takes chip from Wavebreaker, is going to combo with the main weapon and let you kill. And that, you know, that works both ways. If you chip them and the Wavebreaker's coming at them, if they don't get out of the way, then they immediately die. Like, I feel like they wanted to make a kit with Range Blaster where it kind of controls more space, and I think that's interesting, and I find it fun, so I definitely want to mess with it more, especially with Intensify Action actually fetches the jump RNG issue with blasters quite a bit, so it's definitely the blaster I'm most interested in immediately. Next weapon. I think two more I wanted to talk about. On the concept of Wavebreaker, let's talk about Squelchy, because it's Splat Bomb plus Wavebreaker. I've always liked Squelchy as a main weapon. I have like 1 million on custom or more in N2, and I have like 700k or something on the vanilla one. I think the main weapon's just really fun, honestly. I like the kiting, I like the rolling. It's basically a shooter with more nuance to it. And it's really satisfying to, you know, like melt people with it, you know, in the perfect opportunities if you get crazy RNG, and the mobility and kiting of it has just always been one of my favorite things. So getting a special that kind of controls a bunch of space in a way that's like different to Storm is really fun, and you know, just having a bomb is never bad, so really good. I like it. Definitely trying. What else do we have? Counting. Yeah, there was one more I wanted to talk about. It's Stringer. Stringer is interesting. It's fun. I didn't fully get it during the demo, so a lot of this is me just wanting to try it more now that I have a better idea of how it works. I think this weapon's going to play kind of similarly to Expulsion, where it sort of sits in the back and just crossfires for its team, basically, because it has like decent chip damage values, and the exploding arrows control some space. I think there's a lot of nuance to this weapon. That's what keeps me interested in it, honestly. So I'm definitely going to play that a lot. And I don't want to make this Cena video like too long, so I'll just have like one more tier. Because you're probably wondering like, well, where's the Brella? The answer is here. And what this tier is basically the I want to play it tier, but I don't think it's good enough yet, because it kept every single nerf from 2 going into 3, so I think it's like undertuned and underwhelming at the moment. Sprinkler's still kind of whatever on it. Tripling Strike is a decently strong special, but it doesn't really have synergy on Umbrella itself, because you can't use your main weapon or swim or any of that when you pop the special, so it doesn't have that level of like interactive nuance that normal Umbrella and Sorella did in 2. Because with those you could pop special and fight with your main weapon, like, you know, interchange between the two, like you walk inside the rain cloud where you like shoot at people when you pop a bomb rush, like you pop a bomb rush, you're trying to rush you roll a bomb with their feet, you open shield, they die, that kind of thing. Like that was what like some of the most fun stuff about Umbrella to me, and it's just Tripling Strike doesn't have any of that because you can't use your main weapon, so it's kind of like a bit boring, honestly. That, and I just think the main weapon needs some buffs before it could be seen. So yeah, this is like the honorary, like, I want to play you tier, but I don't think you're good enough yet, but like if you give it a few months and a couple of buffs, then I'll be willing to try it more. There's a ton more weapons to talk about, but honestly I think these are like the top weapons you'll probably catch me playing. If you like watch my gameplay or, you know, go to my stream early in S3, I think this is like what you're gonna see the most of for sure. But yeah, that's my preliminary list of what I'm guessing I'm gonna enjoy. It's subject to change. This is again, this is for day 1 or before day 1 actually. So, you know, things can change in the future. You never know. I'll leave a link to the tier list creator in the description if you're curious on making your own. So if you want to do that, check that out. Before you do that, while you're down there, if you can subscribe if you're not already, I would really appreciate it. I'm gonna make a ton more videos like this. So if you had fun with this one, you know, hang out, stick around. We'll do much more. Check me out on Twitch if you want to see me play live, if you want to check me out playing any of these weapons, if you're also really interested in them. Check it out there. It'll be cool. We'll have fun. Less than a week to go. We're almost there. So have a good one. I will see you